Okay, so we've got our sources here for today, June 6th, 2025. And it's quite a mix, isn't it? We're looking at astrology, like a big transit, the daily stuff, and then this really cool old story.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like we're triangulating the day's energy,
Mm,
using the stars and this ancient wisdom tale together.
exactly. And our mission, really, for this deep dive is to unpack what all this tells us about, well, finding our footing, anchoring that sense of divine worth, maybe finding some real peace and beauty.
Right. What happens when you lay these two maps, the cosmic and the mythic, over each other?
Yeah. Does it give us a shortcut, maybe, to understanding what actually matters,
Mhm.
in love, life, how we see ourselves?
I think they're definitely pointing in the same direction,
Yeah.
just speaking slightly different languages, perhaps.
Okay, let's jump in then. The big news astrologically, starting basically yesterday, June 5th, is Venus moving into Taurus. That's a month-long thing, right? Until July 4th.
That's right. And it's a big deal because Taurus is, well, it's Venus's home turf. It's where she's most comfortable, most herself.
Right. And the source uses these three words I really like to capture that energy. Slow, sensual, stubborn. What does that combo spark for you?
Well, it's slow and sensual. That's classic Taurus, right? Earthy, physical, enjoying the good stuff. But stubborn.
Yeah.
It's key. It's not like digging your heels in negatively. It's more about um, a deep-seated commitment, knowing what you value and sticking to it,
Right.
not getting pushed around by fads.
Okay. That groundedness. The source says it's all about valuing practicality, substance, loyalty, stability, and it makes this like really bold claim. The era of fake love is over.
Exactly. It suggests that, the superficial stuff, chasing things without real depth, that's just not going to cut it with this energy.
Right.
Life, love, they're meant to be savored, felt deeply.
Hmm.
But there's zero rush. Absolutely none.
And this theme keeps popping up. No more chasing what disturbs our peace. It really feels like a call to anchor something deeper, our like divine worth, and bring some kind of order back, especially to our bodies, our senses, how we value ourselves.
It's a return, isn't it? To
Yeah.
seeing the body as sacred, a temple, not just a vehicle.
Hmm.
And when you start doing that, naturally you have to deal with the stuff stored in there. The source talks about releasing unprocessed pain, inherited guilt,
Hmm.
the baggage that stops us from feeling truly at home in our skin.
Yeah, and I thought this was important. The source warns against like spiritually bypassing the real world stuff. Money, sensuality, self-respect. These aren't roadblocks on the path, apparently. They're part of it, especially now.
Absolutely. It's about weaving it all together,
Yeah.
building a life that actually feels like you, your higher self,
Yeah.
appreciating beauty everywhere, and practically speaking, investing in things that last.
Things with real value.
Right. Whether it's an object that speaks to you aesthetically or, an experience that adds genuine beauty and substance, not just fleeting status symbols.
Okay, so Venus in Taurus sets the month's tone. But what about today, June 6th? The sources break down the specific planetary interactions happening now.
Yeah, the daily weather report, you could say. And this morning, the moon's in Libra, and it's making a few interesting connections.
Okay, first up, Libra moon sextile Mars. What's that feel like?
That's about inspired action, especially in relationships or, going after your goals, but with that Libra grace and diplomacy. So it fits nicely with Venus and Taurus wanting stable, harmonious progress. Pursue what matters, but nicely.
Got it. And also this morning, Libra moon trine Mercury. Better communication.
Nicely. Smooths out social interactions. Great time for meaningful chats, expressing how you feel. The sources even say it helps with speaking your truth, maybe even sharing some vulnerability, some wounds.
Okay. That links back to the Venus theme of truth and releasing pain.
It really does. Vulnerability becomes part of that anchoring process.
Then tonight, Libra moon trine Jupiter. Jupiter usually means good things, right?
Optimism, faith, expansion. Yeah, it gives a boost to our confidence, our belief in ourselves and others, which is exactly the kind of support you need if you're trying to stop chasing things that wreck your peace and actually trust you can build something better, something based on real worth.
Makes sense. And then late tonight, the moon slips into Scorpio. How does that shift the vibe after all the Libra connection?
Scorpio goes deeper, more intense, more private. So after a day of maybe focusing outward, connecting, valuing things,
Right.
the sources suggest this shift encourages a more intimate end to the day, a bit of introspection, mulling over what you've learned or felt.
Natural winding down.
Exactly. Processing the day's experiences.
Okay, let's switch gears completely. Well, not completely. Let's bring in the other source. The story of the day, the tale of Devi Vasudhara and the restoration of divine order. Reading this, it felt like, Wow, this is the same message, just told as a story.
It's uncanny, isn't it? The story starts in this age where, everything's gone off the rails. Virtue, dharma lost, people chasing fleeting illusions, confusing indulgence with intimacy,
Uh-huh.
getting caught up in false attachments, calling illusions wealth. Doesn't that sound just like the era of fake love the astrology was talking about? Chasing things that disturb your peace.
Totally. And then Devi Vasudhara shows up, born of radiant grace. She embodies grounded beauty, real worth, and guess her qualities? Slow, sensual, and stubborn.
There they are again.
Right. As the steady pulse of the earth itself. It's the exact same keywords.
And there's this prophecy in the story for the Kalpa Sutras saying a time would come when people would stop chasing illusions. They'd anchor in honest love, wholesome work, self-respect. It's literally the Venus and Taurus themes laid out in narrative form.
Her kingdom, Anandavana, before it fell apart, it was all about balance. The body was sacred, a divine vessel. Material things like silk, fruit, gold, they were prayers, expressions of value, not just stuff, but the people. They abandoned their temples of flesh, the story says. Chased ego, greed, and everything fell apart. Fruit withered, jewels dimmed, joy vanished.
It's a powerful image of what happens when we disconnect from the tangible, the sacredness of the physical, chasing abstract greed instead. The divine was in the material when it was honored.
Right. They spiritually bypassed the real value that was right there.
But Vasudhara's response,
Yeah.
that's the core. She doesn't go looking for answers outside. Her journey is inward, descending into the sacred caverns of her own heart.
This part gave me chills. Inside, she finds these ancestral spirits of guilt and sorrow wrapped in heavy chains.
Heavy chains, yeah.
She doesn't fight them. She touches them, uses this chant, Om Shanti Ananta, and unbinds the knots of pain, releases them. It's such a clear parallel to that Venus and Taurus need to release old pain, inherited stuff.
It really is. And when she emerges, she's glowing, but not fiercely. It's described as this gentle warmth, like a hearth or lover's hands or earth after rain, that deep, nurturing, grounded radiance. True worth.
And then she tells the world, the era of false affection and restless striving is ended. Boom, again.
Can't miss that.
And she says, love shouldn't be chased like a wild deer, but welcomed like a gentle cow into the home. Stop chasing, start welcoming what aligns.
Don't chase what disturbs your peace.
Exactly. And then, the body is the temple, and the senses are its sacred offerings. That's straight from the Venus and Taurus playbook about restoring order to the body and senses.
And she warns them explicitly, don't ditch the tangible for empty skies. The divine lives also in silken robes, ripe mangoes, gold that comes from honest work.
Right. It's a direct hit against spiritual bypassing. Saying worth is here in the physical, too, when it's earned and valued with integrity, not greed.
Yeah, it's about honoring both.
So Anandavana gets restored, wealth goes into creating beauty and value, not just hoarding. Lovers take their time, the land flourishes through steady work, slow brewing tea, not conflict. The music comes back, everything has meaning.
It's all about that slow, grounded, appreciative way of being. Patience, creation.
And the story says the gods approved. Lakshmi smiled on the balance between material grace and spiritual dignity. Vishnu blessed the unhurried harmony.
So the lesson is clear. Pleasure, beauty, worth eating. They're not the enemies of spirit. They're its adornments, its expressions, if they're anchored in truth and patience.
And the final teaching passed down, it's almost word for word the astrology takeaway. Do not chase what disturbs your peace. Let your life be a temple, your body its altar, and your labors the prayer. Tat Sat.
It's pretty amazing, really, how these two different streams, modern astrology, ancient story, just converge on the same core message.
Yeah, it feels less like chance and more like, I don't know, fundamental truth showing up in different forms. Vasudhara's qualities, slow, sensual, stubborn, they aren't just similar, they're the exact words for Venus and Taurus.
And that world in the story, chasing illusions, confusing things, it gives such a rich backdrop to what the astrology calls the era of fake love ending. It shows us why we need to stop chasing things that disturb our peace.
And Vasudhara's journey inward, facing those heavy chains of guilt and sorrow, releasing them. That makes the idea of releasing unprocessed pain and anchoring divine worth feel so much more tangible, something you can actually picture doing.
Totally. And her whole declaration about the body as a temple, senses as offerings, finding the divine in the silk and the mangoes from honest work. It just lights up what the astrology means by restoring divine order to the body and senses, valuing the physical with reverence.
And the way Anandavana came back to life. Focusing on honest work, creating lasting beauty, investing in real value. It's a perfect illustration of building a life that reflects your higher self, like Venus in Taurus asks, investing in long-term worth.
And yeah, that core teaching, do not chase what disturbs your peace. It's the headline in both. Can't get clearer than that.
So bottom line, whether you're looking up at the stars or into this old story, the message seems to be richness, worth, peace. They're not out there somewhere or found by denying the here.
Right. They're found by being grounded,
Yeah.
present, valuing the real world with truth and patience, slowing down, honoring yourself and honest effort. Which brings us really to the important part. What does this mean for you listening right now, today, this month?
Exactly. This isn't just theory. It feels like a really specific invitation, especially today, June 6th, with those daily aspects adding their flavor to the Venus and Taurus energy. It's an invitation to actually live this stuff.
So maybe take a moment to reflect. Where are you maybe uh, chasing something that deep down disturbs your peace? A relationship, a job,
Hmm.
a certain image.
Yeah. Or how could you consciously slow down, even just a little, today or this week? Really taste your coffee, feel the sun, notice those simple, tangible pleasures the story mentions, your own version of silken robes or ripe mangoes.
And how can you make honoring your body as a temple more real? Not just an idea. Maybe bringing more awareness to how you eat or move or just connect with the physical world through your senses, treating them like sacred offerings.
And how can you anchor more deeply into your own worth, that inherent value, and start maybe building a life that feels more truly aligned? Investing your precious time and energy in things with that long-term value, lasting beauty, genuine connection, honest effort.
And finally, thinking about today's aspects, how can you bring that blend into your interactions, that Libra grace and diplomacy, but also the mercurial courage to speak your truth, even the vulnerable parts?
So, yeah, this whole deep dive looking at Venus and Taurus and the story of Devi Vasudhara, it really hammers home this unified message. True worth, real beauty, lasting peace, they come from grounding down, patience, valuing the tangible with honesty.
It's a reminder that the divine isn't separate. It's right here in our bodies, our integrity, the simple pleasures we allow ourselves, the beauty we create and appreciate, inside and out.
And thinking about Vasudhara's journey, going into those caverns to face the heavy chains of guilt and sorrow, it leaves us with a pretty deep question to ponder, doesn't it?
Mhm.
What heavy chains, unprocessed pain, old beliefs, maybe inherited stuff might you be carrying right now? What might be stopping you from fully anchoring in your own divine worth? And maybe, what could the very first step of your own inward journey to release them look like?